Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in this Friday. You know what it is. We are pumped up and ready to go. We're going to talk about this UFC 239 fight card, which is hot and heavy, full of knockouts and submissions. And also, we're going to speak on that newly upgraded, promoted WBC middleweight champion, Jamal Charlo versus Brandon Adams, the contender winner, who's very happy to be in this position. So we're going to see if, his smile grants him a happy ending with freaking Jamal Charlo and getting this victory. I don't see it happening. I'm not saying it's impossible and cannot go down that way, but I'm just putting it out there. Size difference, experience in these type of fights on the big stage, of course. And just the advantages not being in his favor. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to deal with. But let's get down to this UFC 239 card. For all you mixed martial art fans, be sure to tune in and drop your comments. That's what it's about. We're going to get pumping. So, let me go from, I would say, the top. I'm going to start with the main event, y'all. Start with the main event. You have Jon Bones Jones, the man himself, arguably considered the mixed martial arts GOAT, never been defeated in the cage in his tenure as a mixed martial artist. He's going in there against Thiago Santos. Okay, Jon Jones' record is 24-1. Thiago Santos is 21-6. There's level changes here. Jon Jones has been in there with some of the elite competition, and many can argue, and debate all day that he should be 25-0 because his one blemish to his ledger is because he was annihilating Matt Hamill, death by 1,000 elbows, until he ran into a 12-6 and got complacent. You know what I'm saying? He got complacent and landed a 12-6 elbow, which really didn't do any significant damage or change. It's just a point where he was landing so many strikes. He was caught up in the adrenaline rush and just whooping Matt Hamill's ass that he ended up faulting. You know what I'm saying? Fouling, as they call it. And I believe the referee, could have made a better judgment call to know that it was no way, no how Matt Hamill was coming back in that fight. And he even said himself his shoulder was hurt. So there's no way that he could have regained any type of momentum because he never had it. So Jon Jones was DQ'd in that bout to the shock of those in attendance. And that was his first blemish on his ledger. But besides that, he has just been tearing through the competition. Most noticeably would be Daniel Cormier. Now, of course, a lot of people will always factor in that Jon Jones has popped once for, dick pills, as they call it, Cialis, and then his drug use, sobriety issues, which has had him out of the sport periodically, and basically prevent him from having a continuance in his title reign. And he's admitted that he's not the nicest dude. He's kind of grimy dude, and he'll let you know that. At least he's been honest in that perspective. But when it comes down to mixed martial arts, they're very finicky with acting like it's a damn religious consortium and everybody has principle and morals. And that's just not the case. They want to point the finger at who's comfortable for them to do so. And it's been a lot of fighters. It's been many. The list is long in itself as fighters having outside the cage incidents of criminality. And that's no different with Jon Jones. But he's going in there, light heavyweight, 205 against Thiago Santos. And he's going to use his range, man. He's very tall. Both fighters are pretty good, as far as their equity in height. But Jon Jones uses his long arms and reach to his advantage big time. I mean, he is a lethal striker like no other. The man can use step-in elbows. He can use his jab. He can set up that front thigh kick right above the knee to slow his opponents down. He knows how to use that cage generalship. He has power. He's a very strategical thinker in there when he's striking. He uses multiple angles to keep his opponents guessing. And what you have to be with Jon Jones, you definitely have to be that fighter that's, a calm, collective, maintain your composure, and make sure you understand who's in front of you, and you keep that focus. You know what I'm saying? And no way in a fight with Jon Jones, you can just get in there and just lose focus in the moment. Yes, you'll find yourself asleep, period. He's pretty good on the ground, but most of the time he uses striking, his kicks, and his punches. And he has unbelievable, he has unbelievable closing distance too. Whenever he chooses to get in the clinch, man, he can throw. He used to wrestle, not at such a high level as Daniel Cormier or anything like that, but he did wrestle. He has wrestling credentials, and he can throw his opponents if need be. So he's what you call an all-around striker, man. Dude is one of those polymath when it comes to the mixed martial arts game. Super duper lethal. Evan Aguilera, what's good? What's up? I'm, my faithful mixed martial arts fans is in the building on this Friday. He say, I'm here. UFC 239 is a good fight card. I was Santos to win, but Jon Jones is going to destroy him badly. I don't know if Jon Jones is going to destroy Thiago Santos de Aguilera, but he's going to get some work. PK Boxing and MMA, what's up? What's good? I see MMA on the end of your title, so that's good. We have two on deck. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all make sure y'all smash the like button, man, as we talk about this mixed martial arts on Friday evening. So just to caveat off what Aguilera just mentioned about Jon Jones destroying Thiago Santos, it wasn't that much trash talk this fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at the way that he fought Anthony Smith to a decision. So I'm trying to say to myself, make an assumption that Jon Jones was, I don't know, he was getting back in the groove or whatever, or he was basically giving Anthony Smith a warm thank you for not staying on the canvas from that illegal knee that could have cost Jon Jones his second disqualification and lost his title. So I believe that, he didn't punish him as much as he could have all the way up to the final bell. That's just my OP. Because Anthony Smith is a tough fighter indeed, man. I like Anthony Smith. Good dude. He's actually earned every bit of his ladder to the top where he is right now. Absolutely. The man's been in the UFC, out of the UFC, and now he's back. So for Thiago Santos, man, he has a huge hill to climb in there with the all-around striker like Jon Jones. It just seems unbeatable right now. Thiago himself, I've seen him in there, and I like the tattoo. I like the freaking hammer on, that he has tatted on his. I mean, I get it, but he's gonna need more than that. He's gonna need Thor to be in his corner that night, and when things get rough, he's gonna need Thor to basically swing that hammer for real. He's gonna need something to shift the freaking momentum and shake the damn cage. Because Jon Jones is just going to be too much for Thiago Santos, man. And the dense competition of recycling these opponents in the light heavyweight division, what's understood don't need to be explained, for real. They're recycling these opponents like it's cool. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit of Thiago Santos, record. Let's just go to his most notable, right? For those MMA heads. Aguilera says Santos does have good striking, but if Jones take him down, he's going to be there for a whole round. I would like to see Johnny Walker fight Jones. I've been talking about Johnny Walker since day one. Johnny Walker, he looked impressive. We'll get to him. Johnny Walker look impressive. He is that upcoming confident guy. Remember, Johnny Walker's been knocked out, though. You know what I'm saying? Jon Jones ain't never been knocked out. And then, he's nursing the injury right now, all from doing a salute into the worm or whatever. Just a crazy injury. But I see where you're coming from there, Aguilera. You know what I'm saying? I see where you're coming from with that. To be honest, I don't think Johnny Walker is no more prepared than Thiago Santos. But let's go over the most notable. Okay, we're talking about the UFC notables. All right. Thiago Santos has a win over Anthony Smith. All right. He actually stopped him in the second round. And that's somebody who Jon Jones went 5 rounds with. So if you want to look at topology, right, that really stands out. That's an advantage, right? You know what I'm saying? Even though it's been a minute, it was back in February 2018, but he finished Anthony Smith, who went 5 rounds with Jon Jones. So he went in there against David Branch, and he was stopped. That fight I couldn't understand to save my life. I was like, how in the hell are you going to get stopped by David Branch? And I truly believe Thiago Santos was the better striker. Then there was Kevin Holland. He won a decision. Then he stopped Eric Anders. And of course, Jimmy Minowa, bless his soul, always getting stopped by someone lately. But Jimmy Minowa, he stopped him in the second round. And then Blachowicz. Not really any names remotely close to the level of Jon Jones, except Anthony Smith, who just had a 5-round decision loss to Jon Jones. That's it. You know what I'm saying? He lost to Greg Masasi back in the day. He'd been in there with an older Nate Marquardt back in 2016. Besides that, Uriah Hall, he lost to Uriah Hall. That was back in 2014. So he has a huge hill to climb when he's stepping there with Jon Jones. Let me see. PK Boxer said Jon Jones has the deepest playbook in MMA. I repeat, the deepest playbook in MMA. He used the crazy reach of his better than almost anybody. His fight IQ is ridiculous too. Yeah, he's out there with AT&T, man. Good point, PK Boxing in MMA. Real talk. His playbook, his schematics, the way he maneuvers himself in the ring, man, dude, is absolutely, he has the venom. He's toxic. That's Jon Jones. His playbook is very in-depth, and he's always trying new things. He's always trying new technique. That's what he does, man. You have to really know what the hell you're talking about when you go in there and watch. I like to study Jon Jones' fight because he always doing something new. Just like he stepped in there with Sugar Rashad Evans, and he was doing step-in elbows. You know what I'm saying? How he shut down Lyoto Machida and did that standing guillotine choke. He just broke down Quentin Rampage Jackson and kept his distance real good. Kept his distance with Quentin Rampage Jackson to the point where he fatigued him and then closed distance and started really working him on the cage. Set up that rear naked choke and subbed him in the 4th round. He's been in there with, just to name a few, Ryan Bader, guillotine choke, Mauricio Hooer, knockout. Quentin Rampage Jackson, submission, RNC. Lyoto Machida, technical submission, guillotine choke. Sugar Rashad Evans, 5-round decision win. Vitor Belfort, submission, key lock. Come on now. This dude is subbing some of the best names that you would hear in the cage. Chael Sonnen, TKO elbows. Alexander Gustafsson, the first one. 5 rounds. You know what I'm saying? One of his toughest bouts up to that point. One of his toughest, man. Alexander Gustafsson was in it to win it that day, and he really made Jon Jones wear that fight. Glover Teixeira, decision. Daniel Cormier, of course, decision. Over St. Preux, decision. He looked a little crappy in that fight over in St. Preux. You know, he had been out the sport since 2015 and came back a little over a year in 2016. And then, of course, they made that shin kick to the head, that left shin kick to the head of Daniel Cormier, a no contest because he popped positive, overturned by CSAC. And then he went in there, returned. You're talking about being out of the sport July 2017. And then he returned December 2018. Okay. And fought Alexander Gustafsson and subbed him in the second freaking round. No, the third round. Crazy. And then, of course, the decision with Anthony Smith. So all in favor, man. You all are pretty much on point. You know, Jon Jones, his depth, his very acute ring IQ or cage IQ, however you want to call it, is always ticking. Always. It's always moving from one technique to the next. Always setting up traps, looking for weaknesses of his opponent. That's Jon Jones. Let me go back. Let me go up to Evan Aguilera said, but the Smith fight was at middleweight. Okay. What fight you're talking about with who? The Smith fight. You talking about with who? It can be a middleweight, a light heavy. And you talking about Jon Jones? I know you're not talking about Jon Jones. Just let me know who you're talking about there, Aguilera. PK Boxing and MMA say, I feel like Santos can win, but he has to take chances. He won't outpoint or outgrapple Jones. He has to knock him out. Man, if Thiago Santos can stop Jon Jones, don't you know what that'll do for his career? That would be one of the biggest upsets in mixed martial arts, period. That will. In that fashion, what PK Boxing and MMA just mentioned, if he's able to cease and obtain an early closure against Jon Jones, who's never been defeated in his tenure and considered the GOAT, he will be the baddest man on the planet. Thiago Santos will have assumed the crown as the baddest man on the planet. That's real talk. I just cannot put myself in a position to concur that that will remotely come close to happening. That's all I'm saying, man. I don't think Thiago Santos can do it because Jon Jones is so slick and he has a pretty decent chin. You know, Lyoto Machida blitzed him, landed some punches on him, you know. There's plenty of fighters that have landed some shots on Jon Jones, but never to the point where he was in serious trouble. You know, Vitor Belfort had him in a nice arm bar. Popped his arm, and Jon Jones still fought. He's a tough dude, man. You know what I'm saying? He's been in situations where the average fighter might have submitted or the average fighter might have faltered. But Jon Jones has maintained that he is that guy. You know, his all-around skill set flourished to a different level each and every time. It shines on a different level. You never can really say that Jon Jones doesn't present you with a new layer each and every time he contends. You know, he might have looked crappy against over in St. Preux or even Anthony Smith, but still he was in that thinking, he was doing different things, and we never know what's going on with Jon Jones. You know what I'm saying? He still has metabolites coming out of his system. And I think with Anthony Smith, that was one of the first fights in a while that he had zero metabolites in his urinalysis. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, PK boxing MMA, if he knocks him out, he's the man. I just don't see it happening though. I believe he's going to be extremely strong in the first and second round. You know, he's going to try to go in there and test Jones, but you have to be good for 5 freaking rounds with Jones. You have to demand his respect. And you have to enforce that. Aguilera said, but the fight that people are sleeping on is Luke. Rockhold fight. That fight is very interesting. But the one fight that everyone wants to see is Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal. I'm gonna get to that fight too. You're right. And you know, you can only imagine who I'm rooting for in that Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal fight. It's easy. But we're gonna get for that. Yeah, Santos and Smith fall at middleweight, but it doesn't matter because middleweight is so close to you know what I'm saying? Middleweight is at 185 and light heavyweight 205. Regardless, they fall at middleweight, still he was an experienced fighter. You know, Anthony Smith has the experience. So, but that's the first fight, man. That's the headliner. But you know, good point there, Aguilera. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that has any credence to Santos. I mean, Anthony Smith losing to Jon Jones. I mean, Thiago Santos may have fought him at middleweight, but they're still the same fighter. They're big dudes. They experienced veterans. The co-main event is a women's bantamweight division. That's going to be campaigned at 135. Amanda Nunes, the lioness, man, 17-4, going in there against Holly Holmes, 12-4. It's a lot of backstory. Tell me what y'all think about this, Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes. Do you think Holly Holmes is able to pick up the phone and dial in a win this time around? Do you think she can rebound and revisit the platform for which she's most noted for one of the most grandest upsets in mixed martial arts history? Period. Her upset of Ronda Rousey was one of the biggest upsets in mixed martial arts. That left high kick to the blind side of Ronda Rousey's left temple was beautiful. She was outboxing Ronda Rousey, who could never box to begin with. But Holly Holmes is on point. 18-time boxing champion. Beautiful night when she defeated Ronda Rousey. She's going in there with the real one, though. She's going in there with Amanda Nunes, who has only lost to Jessica Ai. You know what I'm saying? She's a champ. She's the bantamweight 135-pound champ and the featherweight 145. We just seen what she did with Christine Cyborg, who just couldn't. She just have it in her mental. I'm saying to myself, I'm screaming at the TV. I'm saying, just reset. Don't get up. If you know the bees are right there above your head, the swarm is right there. You've cracked open the nest. Don't stand back up in the same area where you know that swarm is coming and get stung plenty of. You know, goddamn, crawl out if you have to. Use your movement, reset, and then close distance or work behind your jab against Amanda Nunes. But she just kept on. Every time Amanda Nunes drop her, she gets right back up, stands directly back up in the line of fire, and gets blitzed again. And give it up to Amanda Nunes, man. She did what the fuck she's supposed to do. Let them hammers fly. Real talk. So I really don't have I don't have nothing negative to say about Amanda Nunes just because she defeated one of my favorite fighters. And Cyborg, she's been doing the damn thing. She even defeated Valentina Shevchenko when she was campaigning at 135 twice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the girl is bad. Lioness is bad. The chick is bad. And one thing, about it, Holly Holmes went 5 rounds with Cyborg. Amanda Nunes closed her out in 1. So if we're going off topology, right, that should tell you how on paper this fight should go down. I have to use my integrity, when gauging Holly Holmes, 18-time boxing champ, that Amanda Nunes will not outbox Holly Holmes. I'm just saying she won't. But as far as every other facet, using her kicks, breaking Holly Holmes down in a different way. Holly Holmes has different, pretty decent kicks herself, like that question mark kick, that she lands, that front side thigh kick. It's typical ATT members. They use that kick. But I still favor Holly Holmes boxing to advantage Amanda Nunes. That's just me. Read some of the comments. PK Boxing MMA say you're right, WCS. It will be a huge upset. It will be the grandest, man. It would be epic if Thiago Santos was able to defeat Jon Jones by knockout. It would be epic. That dude would see a whole nother light to the higher tier, to the boxing pantheon. I mean, to the mixed martial arts pantheon. He would be freaking idolized for stopping Jon Jones, one of the baddest men on the planet. PK Box said, I don't see either. I picked Santos to beat Jon Jones, but I'll be going with Bones. Too many paths to victory, too much experience. I see him taking Santos down multiple times and kicking him silly. Yeah, Santos is one of those guys who's susceptible to takedowns. And Jon Jones being a wrestler, having that pedigree, having a pretty solid ground game, I see him closing distance and going for a single double too. I see him doing just like you said that, PK. I see him using those kicks. That question mark kick, or using low high kicks or the low kicks, and just getting Santos freaking delirious with that low kick or high kick, and then go to the mid. John Bones always have his opponents thinking. He will land low kicks or high kicks, mid kicks, and get you all comfortable and complacent. And then you never see the one that's landing on your head, like Daniel Cormier. So it's quite obvious that he will go for the takedowns, because Thiago Santos is vulnerable to that. And Santos, he's gonna have to deal with it, man. He's gonna have to damn shrimp, or he's gonna have to use hip escapes. Make sure he stays active. Never allow Jon Jones to gain top position and maintain that momentum, and keep him on the ground with some ground and pound, and just wear down the rounds. Before you know it, he's up 3-0. And if Jon Jones is up 3-0, Thiago Santos will have to get desperate and go for the knockout. But back to my women, Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes. I want to go for Holly so bad. You know what I'm saying? I want her to regain championship form. I do. But her headspace has just been fragile. You know what I'm saying? The way she tried to abort the mission and get that distance with Miesha Tate, who was hanging on for dear life and was subbed out. Jermaine Duranami. Losing that 5-round with Cyborg. Holly Holmes just need to get back in that space where she feels comfortable and she can work her magic. And Amanda Nunes will be that fighter to do it, because you're going in there with one of the best strikers there is right now. That's Amanda Nunes. I don't think Amanda Nunes boxing is better than Holly Holmes, hands down. I don't. But also, I believe Amanda Nunes' ground game has came a long ways. But Holly Holm has pretty good hips. She has pretty good takedown defense. She's improved so much over time. I mean, I like it, and she's not a short fighter. She has pretty good range. It's just all about her wanting to engage Amanda Nunes, who will let them hands go. Amanda Nunes will let her hands go, no problem. And Holly Holm's gonna have to do the same. She's gonna have to return fire and know when to deliver those punches and bunches and set up those nice kicks of hers. And Amanda Nunes will do the same. But I can almost guarantee you, Amanda's gonna try to put her up against the cage and work for a takedown with Holly Holmes. She's gonna try to test her takedown defense. Because Nunes can grapple. She is Brazilian. Her ground game is pretty solid. Aguilera say, yep, Holly has a chance, but I see Amanda winning, but Holly does have really good striking. She has really good striking. She was in, the kickboxing, 18-time boxing world champion. Her medals are shining bright. But it's just when finally she was able to make it to the UFC and be a part of one of the biggest upsets ever, she couldn't duplicate it. She couldn't emulate it enough to the point where we can say Holly Holmes is one of the greatest female mixed martial artists to ever do it. I mean, of course, she's going to be exalted for that night with Ronda Rousey, but that's long gone. That's over. In order for her to regain that momentum and that star power, she has to go in there and defeat Amanda Nunes and take the 135 bantamweight title. The 145 title is not up for grabs in this bout. Aguilera say Cyborg didn't fight smart with Amanda. No, she did not, Aguilera. Check the box on that and the chin. I think the rematch will be different. Cyborg just fought stupid. She wanted to stand and trade, but that's what happens in MMA. Cyborg has went in there in Muay Thai bouts, right? With Urena Bars, who just absolutely blitzed Cyborg, dropped her like 3 or 4 times in the bout. Aguilera, Cyborg knows better. You know what I'm saying? You know what the heck you talking about, Aguilera. Cyborg knows better. Me and you, we have to hold Cyborg accountable for knowing better. She is absolutely too experienced to jump back into the swarm of punches that was coming her way and think she'll be able to avoid it. Every time she tried to make it back to her feet, Amanda Nunes was letting them hands go and landing. You know what I'm saying? And landing viciously to the point where she just kept dropping Cyborg, and then the fight was over. Just a stupid stubbornness by Cyborg, who I like a lot, man, who's a nice person. She just wasn't thinking like a veteran fighter should in that situation where she was taking punishment just to get back up like she was fighting Gina Carano. For real, man, it just pissed me off, man, watching her do that. I'm like, God damn, at least get up on the retreat, gather your senses, reset, and then work those hands. You know what I'm saying? Try to come in with something new. Give her a different look. Give Amanda Nunes a different look there, Cyborg. And she never did. She just gave her the same look. Okay, you knock me down, I'm gonna get back up and try to knock you down. Okay, you knock me down again, I'm gonna do the same thing. It was just stupid, to be honest. PK said Nunez is too good. I wonder how much Holly will grapple or if they're gonna trade leather. I can only tell you like this: with 2 strikers like Nunez and Holly Holmes, they're gonna trade. Believe that, they're gonna trade. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be a firefight, and the wick is lit. Those two are gonna trade punches. Absolutely. PK say Holly has a really good jab and good foot movement. Man, she 18-time champion, man. Absolutely. Underscore that. She can't get backed up to the fence, though. No, she cannot. And the one thing I can say about Holly Holmes that she had very sharp and precise against Ronda Rousey was her movement. Once her back touched the cage, she had no problem egressing. No problem egressing. She was able to recenter and work her combinations again. That's one thing. Holly Holm has pretty good cage generalship. She does. And she's definitely going to need it against Amanda Nunes. She even used it against Cyborg, but she wasn't active enough. She was scared to go in there into the fire and see what Cyborg had to offer, like Amanda Nunes. Nunes wasn't scared. She went right at Cyborg to prove a point that I can outstrike you, and I believe I can stop you. And that's just what Nunez did. Sir Ken, what's good? Salute to you, man. Salute to everybody that's in the building. Be sure to smash that like button. Much appreciated. We're going over the UFC fight card, UFC 239. On to the welterweight division. 170. Jorge Masvidal, former street fighter. The man may have 13 losses, but he's one of the most exciting fighters that I like to watch. Very cool, calm, and collective. G. That's an OG of the game of combat sports. Started from outside in the grime backyard setting, Kimbo Slice era. You know, changed over, transition into doing it for real, making it legit, making it his full-time occupation, and he's did fairly decent. The man has a lot of experience. 33-13 is Jorge Masvidal. He's going in there against one of the guys, Ben Askren, who was a part of that one championship trade for a good guy, Demetrius Johnson, a good guy. The UFC's only trade. You know what I'm saying? Like one of them under the table handshakes, gripping grins. Hey, give you a nod. Thank you. So they traded Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson to one championship, and then we got Ben Askren. Him and Dana White finally nipped the bud and buried the hatchet. A long-standing, contentious beef between these two. The animus was somewhat to a point where no one never thought Ben Askren will fight in the UFC, and he's here now. Okay, we all saw what happened when he had to fight against Robbie Lawler. Man, I love when Robbie Lawler picked his ass up. Ben Askren is I mean, his reputation as a wrestler, man, is top tier. Like he is respect. He is respected. That's real talk. And to see Robbie Lawler pick him up and dump him on his head like that was just insane. And he almost pounded him out. Okay. But to Ben Askren's credit, he was able to survive. Experience. He's going in there with a guy like Jorge Masvidal, who has pretty damn good takedown defense. And if you ask me who's the better striker, it's no question at all. Jorge Masvidal is the better striker. We saw what he did to freaking Cowboy Cerrone. He freaking knocked him out twice in one fight. Jorge Masvidal has improved his game with so many wrinkles. He's had his ups and downs, but his striking is levels above Ben Askren. But I can tell you what Askren is going to do. And he'll never be one of these elite fighters that the fans just flock to come and see him fight. He's going to do everything that we know. He's going to act like he's going to throw some punches and then shoot in for a single or double, mostly a double. And he's going to press Masvidal up against the cage and wear him down and trying to go for that takedown. And he's relentless. He's going to be relentless with that takedown. Until you get them hands locked, he's not going to stop pressing Masvidal up against the cage. But the good aspect, the positive aspect about Masvidal, he isn't a slouch on the ground. He has pretty solid takedown defense. And we all seen like these BJJ practitioners like Damian Maya, even Johnny Hendricks, the wrestlers. We've seen the Luke Rockholds, not the Luke Rockholds, the Vitor Belforts. We've seen fighters that come in here in a very strong and a certain area of their skill set, like takedowns or jujitsu, and they go in there with a fighter that equalizes and negate that, and they have to change up and work their hands more. And I believe this is what's going to happen with Ben Askren. He may be 19-0, but that's not in the UFC. I'm definitely getting Jorge Masvidal as a striking advantage. I'm saying Jorge Masvidal goes in there and he's not really afraid to lock up with Ben Askren. Aguilera say Jorge's been in there since the Kimbo days. RIP to the GOAT. He's a true veteran of in the sport. He is, man. He's a true veteran of combat sports. It's good to see him now making a living, getting paid full time. PK say Sir Ken and Aguilera, gentlemen, salute. Salute to everyone that's in the building right now. PK Boxer say big test for Askren. 3-piece has pretty damn good takedown defense. He's gonna need it too. That's all Askren's gonna do. Spam takedowns. Underscore that. That's all what Askren does. He's relentless, relentless, relentless. And you know what? His style will never get him even from Dana White. Dana White is not going to put Ben Askren as the headliner until he changes his game up. He just didn't sign a fighter who went in for a takedown and won the fight because that's all he did. So Dana White said, fuck that. You're not exciting. Dana White wants to pretend like he grew up in the fight game. I mean, in a sense that he did, but he wasn't a fighter. But we're getting to a point where everything is about ticket sales. And do you actually believe you are yourself or me or whoever will go see Ben Askren on a headliner in the welterweight division? Just say he was going in there against Kamaru Usman. Would we want to see that if he doesn't look superb in the fights that's leading up to it? No, we're not going to see it. Like, he will have to go in there and wash Jorge Masvidal. Wash him in 1 or 2 rounds. And Ben Askren, just because he gets you in a takedown doesn't mean Jorge will take damage from the bottom. I mean, wrestling is wrestling. Jorge is experienced enough to know how to handle himself off his back. It's not like Ben Askren is going to go down there, put him on his back. Jorge is going to be a fish out of water, flapping around, doesn't know how to make transition, doesn't know how to sustain and work himself to half guard, hip escapes, submissions off his back. Man, come on, man. Masvidal knows how to do that. And, Ben Askren, he's going to do what Ben Askren does. He's not one of my favorite fighters, but I will give him credit. He is tough. He's one of the goofiest fighters on the roster. He's the type of dude that you see walking down the street and somebody that's just not aware of who he is would try to punk him. Because that red curly hair and that goofy look that he has, people would try to goddamn test him, man. And they will find out that's the wrong decision, the worst decision they made that day. Because he is a lethal dude, but his hand sucks right now. And I give this fight to Jorge Masvidal. I believe he's outstrike him and put him in a world of hurt. But the only thing that's different between, Jorge Masvidal and Robbie Lawler is he won't allow Ben Askren to recover like that and regain that momentum. How quickly Ben Askren regained momentum is somewhat like fatigue for Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler, he dumped the gas tank a little bit, and Ben Askren just needed that little moment to maintain or regain that composure and work his magic. And that's exactly what he did. He put Robbie Lawler in a bulldog choke. What? What? And then, Robbie Lawler looked like he was out, but come to find out he wasn't. But anyway, um, the underrated darkness. What's good? Thanks for dropping in, man. Salute to you. Y'all be sure to press that like button. I appreciate it. We talking about the UFC 239 card. We went from Jon Jones, Thiago Santos, Amanda Nunes to Holly Holmes. I don't think I gave my prediction on that. I want to go with my girl Holly Holmes, but I have no reason not to go with Amanda Nunes. But when it comes to the paper route, when it comes to the topology, the metric, the dynamic from skill to skill, headspace, I just have to give it to Amanda Nunes because she's a champ right now. Can Holly Holmes step up and do it again? Yeah, I believe she can. Welterweight, Jorge Masvidal. I'm going with Jorge Masvidal, man, over Ben Askren. His striking sucks. His wrestling is on point. Okay, that's what he does. And like I said before, he's not going to be headlining any card with that nonsense. Him just locking up, taking his opponent down, laying prey, throwing some strikes every now and then. Okay, cool, whatever. On to the next. Light heavyweight. Jan Blachowicz, Luke Rockhold. There's no way, no how. Blachowicz, 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 whatever his name is. I really haven't, rehearsed his pronunciation, but I do know Luke Rockhold. And Luke Rockhold to me reminds of a male Holly Holmes. Luke Rockhold has been in some fights that I know he should have won. You know what I'm saying? Luke Rockhold has been in some fights that he should have won. He's a very extremely talented dude. Now he's up at light heavyweight because he had some tribulations and some bouts, which he just had mental lapses. Michael Bisping. It's just crazy, man. Now he's up at light heavyweight, and I can't go against, with the mental lapses that Luke Rockhold has. He's still a talented fighter, one of the best in the game right now, and there's no way that I can go awful. I have seen Blachowicz have success, but when you come to all around striking, Rockhold's jiu-jitsu game, his crafty, how slick he is on his feet, I definitely have to go with him. He's at a heavier weight class. I really don't think it's going to matter with the way he fights. He is going in there with a heavier, to me, a true light heavyweight. But I still give him, Luke Rockhold, the advantage in this fight. PK Boxing says, much as I hate Covington, goddamn, Kobe Covington, that dude can wrestle. Hell yeah, he can. I mean, it's videos of him and freaking Jorge Masvidal going hours in a freaking dirty ass apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like them motherfuckers was going back and forth. You can't imagine the carpet burn that went down. But Covington can wrestle. He is just fucked up in the way he going about business. But the way he doing it, how he doing it, and the method for which he's getting this attention, you can't blame him for putting his name out there, man. Taking the belt to the White House, having a female, having females around him, doing his little improv or whatever the fuck he's doing. Hey, man, I can't be mad at Covington. He ain't the only one been talking shit, in the combat sports game. He's just a bit annoying. PK said all the grappling Jorge does with Kobe gives me confidence he can stay on his feet long enough to get the KO. I agree with you on that, PK, because he has been working a lot with Covington, who can fight. Kobe Covington was the roommate of Jon Jones. He said he used to work Jon Jones too. in wrestling. He used to he used to wrestle the brakes off Jon Jones. That's been said plenty of times. Underrated Darkness said Amanda, yes. Yeah, Amanda Nunes should get that. To me, Nunes, her mental, her lioness, her ferociousness, I believe she's going to really test Holly Holmes, who's going to have to sustain. You know, she's going to have to keep her distance, and she's going to have to stay focused and don't get bombarded or overran by the lioness. The preacher's daughter's going to have to come in there with some prayer. Seriously, real talk. PK said, I can never pronounce that dude name right. Yeah, man, Blackowicz or whatever his name. But I give that bout to Luke Rockhold. I still got to go with my man Luke Rockhold. You know, he's been moving around camps lately. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to get some different looks. And that shows me he's trying to improve. One of my favorite fighters, man, even when he had curly hair, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. Motherfucker, what? Dude is legit. 29-11. Who gives a damn about those 11 losses, man? Diego Sanchez is one of the most exciting fighters ever to grace the octagon. One of these fighters ever to put on 4-ounce gloves and give the crowd what they want. From the ring walk to once he's he enters the cage, going in there, putting it all on the line, do or die. Even in there with BJ Penn, with BJ kicked him in the head, split him open. It don't matter. His freaking Hall of Fame bout with Clay Guida. Dude's been in there with some of everybody that you can imagine. He's going in there against Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, if you remember him, Michael Chiesa, you know, he had some ups and downs where he lost to Kevin Lee. You know what I'm saying? He say he wasn't out, but it looked like he was asleep to me. Tall, rangy fighter, very underrated. He just needs to get back on track and get himself back in there. You know what I'm saying? That's what he needs to do, Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa was on the bus when Conor McGregor threw that metal dolly and it split him open rather. So he actually had litigations and a lawsuit against Conor McGregor. And to be honest, I don't know if they settled that yet, but yes, indeed, Michael Chiesa was on that bus and his fight was canceled that night because he was sitting in the seat that absorbed most of the impact from that metal dolly that Conor McGregor threw at the bus because of his freaking seeing freaking blue, black, green, whatever he was seeing from Khabib the Magomedov cornering his boy Artem Lobov. Yeah, that night was crazy. He came back with like 10 or 15 of his boys, flew in, and you know, it was prevaricated. You know, it was malicious intent. They thought about that, and he came in there like he was freaking on 2, 3, 4, 5 buckets of uppers. The man was seeing red, and he was going for Khabib the Magomedov, who Khabib, in my opinion, if he wouldn't have had someone on that bus, he would have got off and fought. That's just Khabib. He would have gotten off and fought Conor McGregor and whoever he was with. He's that guy. And he proved to be that guy when he subbed Conor McGregor out. But anyway, back to Diego Sanchez and Michael Chiesa, man. Michael Chiesa has the height advantage on Diego. He has the range. Can he refute the aggressiveness of Diego Sanchez? You know, can he keep the distance enough with those long arms of his? You know, what is he going to do once Diego closed distance and work for the takedown? Because Diego is another fighter who's just absolutely in sixth gear when he locks up and get his opponent in a clinch. Diego is no slouch on the ground. He really don't give a damn about going to the ground. Michael Chiesa is going to have his hand full handful early with Diego Sanchez. Real talk. He's going to have his hands full, man. And there's no way, no how that I'm going against my boy Diego Nightmare Sanchez. I just never really got on the train yet because I don't hop on trains often, but I just never really been on that Michael Chiesa train just to the next station and say, okay, he's the next upcoming star. I just never saw it. And it proved when he went in there and was subbed by Kevin Lee, who we all just seen what happened to him recently in his last 2 fights. But I'm definitely going with Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. I believe he may even potentially TKO Michael Chiesa. It's highly possible. Michael Chiesa is a tough fighter. Diego Sanchez himself has been known to take brutish punishment and keep going. He has been known to walk through hellfire and keep coming. Don't matter if you split him open. Don't matter if he bleeds. Diego Sanchez has been in there with some of the best names in the business, and Michael Chiesa doesn't come close. That's real talk. Diego Sanchez has lost, to Joe Lozon back in 2016. Then he went in there and lost to Alaquenta in 2017. Matt Brown 2017. Those fighters who had pretty good boxing. Alaquenta has really nice hands. We've seen that against the Khabib the Nurmagomedov fight. He had a win against Mickey Gall, but we know damn well that don't make any goddamn difference. Mickey Gall, his CM Punk claim to fame. Anyway, Diego went in there against Jake Ellenberger. That was in a freaking grappling bout. I mean, Diego has been in there with some of the best fighters: Ricardo Lomas, Ross Pearson, Gilbert Melendez, Takanori Gomi. Dude's been in there with some of the best, man. Clay Guida, Joe Daddy Stevenson, BJ Penn. I give him nod. Real talk. If he don't knock Chiesa out, he'll punish him and beat him down. And Chiesa need to do the same to Diego. He need to either cut him open because he has a lot of scar tissue and get the fight dirty and grimy. Next to the heavyweight division where everybody is talking about, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is getting mad airtime, man. I seen him on ESPN. He was getting mad airtime with Junior Dos Santos. And for what I'm looking at, this bout has been canceled. You know what I'm saying? Francis Ngannou and Junior Dos Santos is no longer. That must have just happened at the weigh-in. Somebody tell me what's going on with that. Why is this bout canceled? I'll find out myself, people. Ngannou? I'm about to find out right now. What the hell is this bout canceled for? It doesn't say it's canceled, but unless this is just a misprint on here. I don't see anything on here about. Let me go to the weights, to the final weight. Francis Ngannou 255, Junior Dos Santos 249. I'm going to leave that, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. Junior Dos Santos has much better boxing than Francis Ngannou. People have to understand, Francis Ngannou went over here and KO Alistair Overeem, who's been stopped 3 or 4 times before that fight anyway. Nothing new. To me, him defeating Curtis Blade does nothing. You know what I'm saying? Him being defeated by Stipe Miocic, it was bound to happen. Stipe is a much better fighter. The jury's still out with Francis Ngannou consistency. And, him being tested on the ground, his takedown defense. Junior Dos Santos will do that. If he's able to weather the storm and not get caught early from Francis Ngannou, Junior Dos Santos would do well. If he's able to pick his shots and be very strategic and closing distance on a heavy-handed striker like Francis Ngannou, he would do well, because I guarantee Junior Dos Santos, JDS, can take Francis down. No matter how big he is, he can take him down and do some damage. Well, I'm still trying to get word on why this will be canceled. Anyway, Joseph Benavidez is going in there against Formiga. And let me tell you, that's going to be a very entertaining, high energy, fast-paced fight. Joe Benavidez, for a long time outside Demetrius Johnson, was the number one flyweight there was. And unfortunately for him, he had to go back down to the bottom of the ladder once he was knocked out the second in the rematch with Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. And it just did a lot to him. Like, he has a win over Henry Cejudo, but he had his opportunity to dethrone Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He just couldn't get it done, people. Very, very talented fighter, Joseph Benavidez. Very fast, well-rounded. To see him get knocked out with that right hand from Demetrius Johnson, I was like, wow, what is going on here? Did you have a lapse in close quarters fighting? Did you forget how lethal Demetrius Johnson is? Crazy, man. Anyway, PK Boxer say, broke my heart the way he rolled up my dude Lyoto. Yeah, man. Shout out to Lyoto Machida. PK said, K cancel. Yeah, man, I'm looking at this fight card, right? And it's a UFC fight card 239, and it says canceled. And I hope it ain't just clickbait or just putting it out here just for reaction, because I'm looking on another site in MMA Junkie, and it's giving the weights. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody checked in and it's good to go. So I really don't know what this council shit is about. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it, though. Y'all hold on for a second. Let's keep it pushing, though. But yeah, I'm just going to go from top to bottom. Jon Jones, I see him defeating Thiago Santos. If not by knockout, by submission. Amanda Nunes, she can easily, in my opinion, win a decision over Holly Holmes. Jorge Masvidal, he can outwork Ben Askren. He has if he can maintain, the takedown defense and not get too fatigued, which, wrestling once again with Kobe Covington, he should be able to weather that early storm by Ben Askren, the pressure that Ben Askren is going to put on him, and win the fight. If he doesn't knock out Ben Askren anyway. Ben Askren can be knocked out, people. He can. He ain't just goofy and with a goddamn titanium chin. Robbie Lawler exposed what Ben Askren is vulnerable, his weaknesses. And Jorge Masvidal is that dude. I know he's looking like a freaking apostle right now, but Jorge Masvidal can freaking throw down. I'm giving the fight against Jan Blachowicz, Luke Rockhold. I'm giving it to Luke Rockhold. I still have to go with Luke as being the more talented striker, the much more advanced striker. Has too many areas to hit Blachowicz with, especially with his ground game. And if he chooses to take him down, he would absolutely sub him. guaranteed. Luke Rockhold still is a threat in mixed martial arts. He just had to find his lane and get back in time. He's in a tough division, in light heavyweight division. So if he wins this fight, it will be good to see him in there with somebody like Jon Jones in the future. Seriously. And then, of course, with Diego Sanchez and Michael Chiesa, man, I'm going with my man, Diego Sanchez. Michael Chiesa has been put in some predicaments where he has been subbed out. He hasn't shown that he's able to weather the storm against someone who is lethal, very consistent with their hands and has pretty good takedown. You know what I'm saying? Because Michael Chiesa loves the ground game. He has long legs. But if you're in there with somebody who can work off their back or has pretty solid above average takedown defense, he's in trouble. You know, because his striking is not on par with his jiu-jitsu. And then Francis Ngannou Jr. dos Santos, I have to go with the better striker. I'm not going with the power. I'm going with the quality. Okay, I'm going with the quality. And that's Junior dos Santos. That's just me. I'm not sold on Francis Ngannou yet. Aguilera said the Woodley and Lawler fight got canceled and they couldn't get a fight. So they put JDS and Francis, the main event for that card. I'm not sure we talking about the same card. This not the 239. It may be been another card or what have you. But I doubt that Woodley and Lawler was going to be the main event when Jon Jones and Thiago Santos. It wasn't going to happen because Woodley, of course, doesn't have his titles. You know what I'm saying? And Lawler doesn't have a title either. And Lawler's already went in there and knocked out Woodley in the first round. So there's no way that fight's going to be even close to being the main event on this UFC 239 card. Aguilera said Lawler and Woodley was supposed to rematch, but Woodley got injured and Robbie didn't want a replacement. And they were looking for a main event fight. They couldn't find one, so they put JDS versus Francis. But even then, Francis Ngannou and JDS, Junior dos Santos, rather, Jon Jones is a light heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? There's no way Francis Ngannou and Junior dos Santos will be the main event over Jon Jones and Thiago Santos. Jon Jones is light heavyweight champion and considerably the GOAT. So his star power is much more in the constellation of mixed martial arts than Francis Ngannou and Junior dos Santos. Real talk. Aguilera said as the main event Saturday. PK boxing, technically Junior dos Santos is much better. Junior can definitely KO Francis out too. I believe he can spark him. I do believe Junior dos Santos can spark Francis Ngannou because I don't give his cardio a A+ right now because he's full power. He's full speed ahead in the first round and up to the second. In the middle of the second round, according to who's pressuring him, he will tire a little bit because Francis Ngannou sits down on all his punches. He tried that shit with Stipe Miocic. No. Junior can definitely KO Francis out too. Francis is younger and much fresher though. I don't know, dude. Junior dos Santos is my favorite heavyweight. I'll be watching that one through my fingers. I don't know, man. Junior dos Santos, man, he's been stopped, a couple of times in his career. Francis Ngannou, he's been in situations where, yeah, he was able to deliver the knockout, but still, he's primed to be tested. Like he's still being there. He's still being that fighter who's predictable. Francis Ngannou is going to go for the Mike Tyson-esque, first round, sit down on his punches, all about the power, and try to knock his opponent out. What happens if he's not able to knock Junior dos Santos out? And I believe he can. Both fighters can spark the other. But we're talking about experience here. How far is that going to take Francis Ngannou in the heavyweight division? Because JDS is slick enough, and in my opinion, has the generalship of a veteran to not go in there and engage with the heavy-handed fighter like Francis. So I'm curious to know how Junior Dos Santos is gonna delegate his fight plan. That's all I'm saying. I'm just curious to know how that's gonna play out. But you know, I got to go with JDS. And unfortunate for Lawler and Willie, if they was gonna rematch, kudos. You know, it's just funny when Woodley stepped in there with Robbie Lawler and smashed him in one round, took the belt, and then he was able to defend the title against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson twice, right? Then went in there Damian Maia where he tore his labrum, and then everybody was hyping up freaking Darren Till. Darren Till, who reminded me so much of just another Wonderboy Thompson. Similar fighting styles, not a lot of activity, and believe that he has more power than he actually possessed. And when he went in there and didn't respect the heavy-handed Tyron Woodley, he was closed out in 2 rounds, subbed, after being smashed with the right hand. And this is something that Tyron's he executes almost every goddamn time he steps in the cage. He would throw out the one, not to do any damage, just a distraction, and he'll come over the top straight with that crushing right hand. And if he touches his opponent right, they're going down. That's what Tyron Woodley does. And he did it to Darren Till because Darren believed that he was the much bigger fighter. He was much taller. And he just didn't value being hit by a heavy-handed striker like Tyron Woodley. And he paid the price. He paid the fucking price. Twice. He lost to Tyron Woodley and then goes back in there and lose again. And now the UFC is saying like, oh, maybe we raised him too early. You're damn right you raised that man too early. Y'all are quick to get behind these fighters that you believe is going to be the next king of that division without putting them in there with equitable competition to test that. Aguilera say Lawler and Woodley. I read that already. Lawler and Woodley were supposed to fight this Saturday, and Woodley got injured, so they put Francis and JDS for the next UFC fight in Minneapolis. So that's going to be a pretty good fight. You know, I just don't see it going any different. Even though Robbie Lawler understands what Tyron Woodley is about now. You know, Tyron Woodley shouldn't have a problem with Lawler. Lawler has been in some wars. You know what I'm saying? The one he had with Rory McDonald is legendary. Both of those fighters lost a bit of their soul and their life in that bout. And I believe Lawler is a bit past his competitive edge, to be honest. And he's taken extensive punishment to the point where I believe it is going to be affecting his speech once he retires and stuff like that. That's just my opinion. I believe he should get up out the game in the next year or so. PK Boxing MMA say that's a good point about Ngannou's cardio. Junior has been fighting much smarter lately too. Yep. Can't call it. I'm going to call it, man. You know, I have to go with JDS just off his boxing skills. And JDS ground game is respectable. No doubt about it. Come on now. Nobody that's here that's tuned in to World Combat Sports is going to say Francis Ngannou ground game will supersede that of JDS. No way in hell unless you already at the bar. If you already at the happy hour and you already got that damn, you on your damn 6th shot, you know what I'm saying, on the empty stomach, and you feeling good right now, that's the only person that might say, you know what, Francis Ngannou may be able to step up and work in the guard of JDS. Hell no. I don't see him putting JDS on his back unless it's via knockout. I mean, a knockdown, a knockout, period. I'm not saying JDS cannot get sparked. At the heavyweight division, anybody can get sparked. Just ask Stipe Miocic when he was in there with Daniel Cormier and he got complacent out the clinch and Daniel Cormier caught him with that right. You know what I'm saying? Ask him. It can happen. Ask Daniel Cormier. You know, when he tried to block, he thought Jon Jones was going for a mid-level kick to the ribs and went over the top of his guard and caught him in the right temple. Stun him. Stumble over to the cage. Jon Jones took his time, went over there and landed some punches, and the fight was over. I got to give it to JDS, man. Moving on. I got to talk about this brand new middleweight champion that never fought the champ. I have to talk about that. I mean, I could say this. It's not like Jamal Charlo is going around here being braggadocious about it. You know, the man is the WBC full champion, man, because all of a sudden, Canelo Alvarez is getting treated like the emperor. Canelo Alvarez is getting treated like the boxing emperor right now, y'all. Jamal Charlo is a WBC full champion. No interim no more. He has the belt as he go in there and face the contender winner and Brandon Adams. Brandon Adams seems like a good dude. Seems like he's one of the nicer dudes in the sport. That he may be one of those boxers that you can actually talk boxing with and gain some knowledge from. You know, he seems like that dude. Just because a dude smile all the time, just because a fighter smiles all the time, to me, doesn't distract or deplete or dilute his ferociousness. You know what I'm saying? Just because the dude is doing the face-off with Jamal Charlo and he's grinning, a lot of people will say that's nervousness or he has anxiety, but I don't think so. I just think that's just the type of guy he is. You know what I'm saying? He's just that guy. He's been in the sport. A lot about the sport don't faze him. So he's smiling. He's grinning. That's what I think about Brandon Adams, man. Now, what he has to overcome, shit. I'm telling you like this. He has a lot of disadvantages coming his way because Charlo, to me, is a much more stronger fighter. He has the height advantage and size advantage over Brandon Adams. And real talk, I'm definitely curious to see how Brandon Adams is gonna provide that equalizer for Jamal Charlo. Can he sustain the power that Jamal Charlo is gonna give him? Is he gonna be as elusive as Tony Harrison was to Jamal Charlo? Does he have good head movement? Is he gonna be slick like Austin Trout? Because Austin Trout made both of the Charlos miss. And he was the much shorter fighter. So guess what? Brandon Adams, if he has that defense, man, he might be able to do the goddamn same thing. He's going to need it because Charlo is going to come in there and try to knock his head off. Point blank. Predictable. He say him and Ronnie Shields has a game plan. Yeah. Charlos, they want to digest a knockout. So they can lean their head to the left and say, yeah, no one can fuck with the Charlos. We back. I'm a WBC champion. This, that, and the other. Look, I want to see Charlo go in there and have a dominating performance also. I do. I'm not one of these guys that just on the Charlo bandwagon or anything like that. They are solid boxers. They just haven't got their moment yet. You know what I'm saying? Even with Jamal Charlo losing to Tony Harrison, I'm not saying that was his moment. I felt that was his time to step up and prove that he was that fighter. When I say by moment, I haven't really had the opportunity to see him just be consistent, you know, with being a champion and going out here dominating. He didn't dominate Austin Trout. He did not. He was just headhunting. So his brother Jamal Charlo, he steps in here. He steps in here against Brandon Adams. And a big part of me is saying I believe he can stop Brandon Adams. I truly believe he can stop Brandon Adams. That's just me. I think Jamal Charlo can stop Brandon Adams. And I may be wrong. I'm not good with predictions. I don't try to be. And for those people who get 1 out of every 3 predictions right and get on social media say, I called it. I called it. Good on you, man. But I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm a motherfucking astute. You know what I'm saying? We're making predictions because I'm not. But I'm just saying, going off history and Jamal Charlo's performances and his advantages heading into this showcase, I believe that he would fare well against Brandon Adams, possibly stopping him. PK Boxing MMA say I'm going to drop my prediction vid tomorrow, I think. No, man, you good, bro. You can't think about it. Drop that, man. Let me know where you dropping it, man. I'll tune in to your cast, man. I'm not sure what time. Is it gonna? It has to be before the fight card actually kicks off, because that's just point blank period. But yeah, just let me know, man. Let me know when you plan on dropping that. I'll tune in. So you're absolutely right about Lawler. Those wars and Rory and Condit took a piece of him. Getting switched off by Woodley didn't help either. Robbie and T Wood are 2 of my favorite. Yeah, man. Robbie Lawler, man, I met him. Very, very approachable dude. I always use the A word, approachable, because in combat sports, not all fighters are approachable. You know what I'm saying? I haven't met T Wood, but I have met Robbie, and he is a very approachable guy, and very tough fighter. He is going to be a future Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? I was so happy when he defeated Johnny Hendricks. I was so happy. One of the most boringest freaking fighters there been in this era, in my opinion. And I was glad Robbie Lawler defeated his ass. Real talk. Kudos, salute to Robbie Lawler, man. But when it's going in there against my boy Tyron Woodley, man, nah. It's not much I can say about that. I don't see he's gonna go in there and wear any type of outfit that's gonna be one of those drastic looks that Tyron Woodley never seen before, that's gonna have a detrimental effect on him. I don't see that shit popping off like that. I think it may go the distance possibly if Tyron doesn't blitz. But what I see with Tyron Woodley is a trend. Seriously, I see a trend with Tyron Woodley in his blitz. He is one of the fastest, most expedient strikers when it comes to blitzing in the sport. And when he blitz and land that powerful right hand he has, you have to worry about being on the ground with him and receiving the Darren Till medication. Punches, elbows to the temple and head. And give it up for Darren Till for taking that shit and not being knocked unconscious. But, Tyron Woodley did sub him. He does have a ground game. He's pretty decent on the ground. At least we thought, because Kamaru Usman just outworked him in the wrestling department. And it just seems like Tyron Woodley was in mud. Like he had took a Benadryl or something before the fight, and he just couldn't do shit. And it's the whole time I haven't really mentioned Kamaru Usman, the new welterweight champion. He looked very impressive, and I really hope him and Kobe Covington get it on and settle this beef, because Kamaru Usman can wrestle and Covington can wrestle. But one thing about Kobe, he does take punishment. Like Robbie Lawler, he takes punishment. If he's in there with the striker, he really doesn't move his head a lot than I would like. So I don't see that fight going any different, except possibly a couple more rounds. I say a round further than it did the first time. He will be much, much smarter and keep his distance against Tyron Woodley. But kudos, man, to both of them. Good dudes. JJC 2810. Say, have you already talked about the Ngannou fight? Yeah, man. I talked about the Ngannou fight enough to the point where, Francis Ngannou is getting mad airplay on ESPN. And I'm like, why in the fuck is Francis Ngannou out here getting airplay like comparable to Mike Tyson? A black fighter come up and he has pretty decent punching power, and they show all the Mike Tyson highlights. I mean, come on, stop that shit, man. Francis Ngannou boxing is nowhere close to Mike Tyson. But just because he knocked out Alistair Overeem, who's been knocked out 4 times previously, and even in his pride days, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. He damn near decapitated Alistair, who's been stopped several times. That's nothing out of the ordinary. He go in there and defeat Curtis Blade. Who is Curtis Blade? He haven't even had enough time to get himself together. You know what I'm saying? Who is Curtis Blade? Alistair Overeem. This is all the hype about. Travis Brown stopped him. Round 1. Ben Rothwell. Round 1. Stipe Miocic. Round 1. Then he steps in there with Francis Ngannou, y'all. Minute 42, round fucking 1. Why is the casual MMA community all hyped up about Francis Ngannou uppercut against Alistair Overeem, who's been slept plenty times before? Why? I'm just curious, man. Why in the fuck are they so hyped up about Francis Ngannou? Being that guy who had a highlight reel knockout of Alistair Overeem, who's already been knocked out several times before. And then after that, he goes in there against Stipe Miocic. He loses a decision. Goes in there somehow, some way against Derek Lewis, who has absolutely 0% ground game, but he's working on that. He's working on that. He goes in there and loses a decision against Derek Lewis. So he comes back, rebound Curtis Blade, and had some type of out of the blue catastrophe with Cain Velasquez, one of the best heavyweight fighters who is injury prone. So he came back for that win in round 1. You know what I'm saying? So now he's set for Junior Dos Santos. Kudos, whatever. JJC said, I don't think Dos Santos chin can take those shots from Ngannou. You know what? That's a big possibility. His chin can't take it. But I think he has the experience to work his magic early against a fighter like Francis Ngannou. He's gonna have to pick and choose when to become a sniper and when the if he's able to go in close quarters with Francis Ngannou. Of course, it'll be crazy for JDS to go close quarters and get close enough to clinch with Francis Ngannou while he's still fresh and full of energy. But then again, JDS, he may try to fatigue Ngannou and take that power away. He may try to work his punches and close distance and get in close, man, to the clinch and try to go for that takedown if he can, if he don't get knocked out in the process. Because we all know the closer he's in to Francis, take away that range of getting knocked out. Because Francis Ngannou most lethal strike will be at distance. Absolutely. So if he can get in close and smother some punches, chest to chest, put his head in Ngannou's grill, try to work the clinch, try to lock them hands up and take him down, work his ground game. JDS ground game definitely is more superior than Francis Ngannou. And we might see a different, we might see a swing, you know what I'm saying? A shift early. Because it's going to take a lot of energy from Ngannou to try to get up and stand back up with JDS on top of him. Seriously. So I still got to go with JDS though, JJC. I hear you though. I hear you. JJC said, yeah, but he knocked out Cain Velasquez, who was the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. Well, if you want to call it a knockout, man, it just seems like his knee kind of gave out. He did kind of land a punch. It was so awkward. You know what I'm saying? That stoppage was so awkward. Cain Velasquez did injure his knee. But, once again, that JJC, Francis did throw that punch. He did throw a punch at the same time when Cain was trying to go for a takedown. So I have to credit him a certain percentage of landing the punch. But we're talking about Cain Velasquez here, man. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Cain Velasquez getting taken out with such a light punch, man. It was just awkward, weird in a lot of ways, to be honest. JJC said, I think people love that knockout because it was such a spectacular knockout. Yeah, it was. It looked amazing. You damn near freaking decapitate Alistair Overeem, man, and make him look crazy. I can understand why people would be enamored by him damn near looking like he uppercut Alistair Overeem into the stratosphere. I think this knee gave out because of the uppercut. His knee gave out because I think it was an injury that really didn't heal, and he just wanted to get back in there and test it. And like you said, Francis Ngannou did land that shot, and he got the KO win. All around, that stoppage was just, it was a lot of awkwardness about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was something that was unfortunate for Cain Velasquez. As long as he's been out the sport, he'll probably be out the sport for another lengthy period of time, man. And it's just like freaking Dominique Cruz. These fighters, no telling what they could have done, what type of history they could have cemented if their body could have held up to the rigors of training and competing. We never know. Would a heavyweight division champion still be Cain Velasquez if he wasn't injury prone? JC, I'm not denying the injury though. Yeah, I think the injury was there, man. I just can't give all that credit to Francis Ngannou for landing the shot and dropping Cain Velasquez, because a healthy Cain Velasquez, man, and how fast he moves and his wrestling, he is serious to deal with. Cain Velasquez is serious to deal with. Period. And unfortunately, man, having a teammate like Daniel Cormier, man, who competed at light heavyweight just because of his friend Cain Velasquez all that time. You know what I'm saying? That's just loyalty like no other. And for Cain Velasquez not to be able to come back and try to reign again as champion successfully. I mean, I know it's heartbreaking for him, man. I know it's heartbreaking for Cain Velasquez because he's that dude, man. Like, he's that guy. He's one of the best to ever do it. PK Boxer said, I'm rolling out. Great chopping it up with your bro. Excellent analysis. Look forward to the next one. Peace and salute. Hey, man, peace and salute. PK Boxing, MMA, man. Salute for dropping through. Always appreciate the support, y'all. You didn't drop your time, man. If you're gonna do a prediction vid, man, what time you think you're gonna drop that? Dion Washington, shout out to Tuscaloosa, Alabama in the building. What's good, man? Dion say, what's going on, Scotty? Richard Comey has knocked down Ray Beltran 2 times in the first round. Bruh, look, I don't try to be like facetious about it, but Beltran is the much older fighter, and seeing freaking Richard Comey fight, I knew that he was going to give Beltran some problems. And like I said on my live, I didn't see Beltran. I don't want to hear anybody say Beltran is going to come back and make this freaking, he's going to rebel and come back from those 2 knockdowns. That shit ain't happening. Richard Comey, man, he's going to fight the next one. I hope the winner of Teofimo Lopez and Nakatani. But thanks for that update, Dion. Appreciate that. I'm gonna see, can I find it? Because I really wasn't. Let me see, can I find it? The boys in the hood is always hard. Come talking the smack, we'll pull your guard. Nothing in life but to be legit. Don't test me, boy. I ain't said. He's lighting up. He's lighting up Beltran. I like the way Richard Comey looking. But once again, I always get assessment as far as the opponent that he's in there with. When I seen him fight in Frisco, Texas, he looked sharp too. He looked powerful. He looked solid. Richard Comey is a solid fighter. Solid. And that's something Teofimo Lopez is gonna have to deal with, man. Teofimo, he's a solid fighter too, but Richard Comey, he's solid, man. And goddamn Richard Comey land 31 of his power shots. That's because he's in there with a 37 in boxing years 45-year-old fighter. One thing Richard Comey shouldn't do is stand in the pocket and underestimate Beltran, regardless if he lost his title in the first title defense. Richard Beltran's head is just like a motherfucking billboard. A billboard that's saying, punch me, punch me, punch me. I'm here. It's just like a blimp. Seriously. It's just like a blimp that's hovering 200 feet above the ground. That's how his head. It's easy target for Richard Comey. Comey's just going to have to fight smart. Nice left hook by Comey. Working off the stick, working behind the jab. To me, he's standing in the pocket just a little bit much for my liking, though. Even though he feel that, in the second round, he can do that. Richard Comey cannot miss. JJC, not the winner of Lomachenko versus Campbell. No. Because you got Teofimo Lopez going in there against Masayuki Nakatani, right? That's going down next month. So that is in the IBF sanctioned body. So the winner of this fight right here should fight. Lomachenko shouldn't fight Luke Campbell for the WBC and then automatically get a title shot at the winner of Richard Comey and Beltran. You know what I'm saying? Because that would just be saying, damn, y'all gave him everything on the plate without nobody else being able to eat. So what will make a better fight, a better championship clash will be Teofimo fighting Comey and the winner of Richard Comey and Teofimo. Because I'm just saying, I'm assuming, prognosticating that Teofimo defeats Nakatani and fight for the undisputed. Teofimo Lopez against Lomachenko. That's the fight a lot of people want to see. Luke Campbell is fighting the WBC, fighting Vasily Lomachenko for the WBC, and I foresee Lomachenko defeating Luke Campbell. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just think he's too much for Luke Campbell. PK Boxer say probably tomorrow morning. I can't live stream on my phone anymore, so it would just be video. Okay, all right, I got you. All right, cool. JJ said I picked Comey by decision. Seems like it's not going the distance. I really think it's going in the third round, and him landing 31 out of 60 some punches in the second. Just in that round alone, I believe the first round. I believe that's crazy. If Richard Comey doesn't re-injure himself, oh, he's in pretty decent condition cardio wise, this may indeed be a stoppage. Period. This may indeed be a stoppage, man. But right now, Richard Comey is looking solid. I mean, he's throwing like 4-punch combinations without any reservation. He ain't scared. He's standing right there in the pocket within distance of Beltran. He ain't boxing from the outside. None of that. Doubling up on the jab, throwing hooks, uppercuts. I mean, look at that punch combination. That was like the 6-8 punch combination right there to Beltran's one jab. To Beltran's credit, though, he's not wavering. He's not going backwards. Comey goes down to the body. Once again, doubling up on the jab. 2 nice body shots by Beltran. Nice. He having some success. Triple up the jab by Comey. Oh, nice overhand right. Landed on that big noggin of Beltran. What I like about Comey, he's doubling up on the jab. And it's landing too. Because Beltran is right there for that jab to land. He ain't moving his head. All he doing is just using that freaking forward aggression online style with Comey. 2 jabs landed by Beltran. Nice. They're trading. It's pretty much a phone booth exchange right now, man. Man, Comey is getting wild. He better chill with that. He better conserve his energy, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Beltran is tough, man. Beltran is tough. And it's going to be up to Comey to maintain that cardio and discipline, to not to gas himself out. This is a good fight. This is a good fight. Comey is playing into the hand of Beltran. If he don't watch out, he's going to deplete his damn gas tank trying to hurt Beltran. Stick to doubling up the jab and stop headhunting. Nice jab by Beltran. Man, good timing by Richard Comey catching Beltran with that right coming in. Teofimo Lopez is there commentating ringside. Of course he is. Of course he's going to be the next in line. There's no way Lomachenko is going to be able to get that next title fight. You know what I'm saying? He's fighting for the vacant WBC and then automatically changes over and ink the next deal to face the winner of this without without Teofimo getting the next shot. That would be a catastrophe. That would be a mockery of the sport of boxing. When they've been trying to raise Teofimo and he's ranked high in the IBF sanctioned body. Yeah, JJC. You know, he went down twice, but still, you know, he's hanging in there right now. And the one thing about Beltran, he's there to be hit. Comey's gonna have to fight a smarter fight, man. It's only the 4th round. I'm not sure how his cardio is holding up from the injury or whatever, but it seems not to be a factor right now. Both fighters posturing. Once again, I like Comey how he's working behind the jab, going to the body. Oh, nice. Oh man, a headbutt. There it is. Oh man. He didn't get cut though. He didn't get cut. Well, there wasn't. I wouldn't put culpability in Beltran. You know, both fighters were closing distance, engaging on the inside. So I wouldn't put the culpability on Beltran. Comey is pretty active though. Beltran would take 3 or 4 shots to give his 1 or 2 because what I'm getting from Beltran, he believes his pressure is gonna fatigue Comey. That's what it seems like because Beltran's a tough fighter. He's gonna take and he's gonna keep on eating Comey's shots, and as the rounds go on, the power is gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how Beltran is gonna look later on, but if he's able to stick in there and fatigue Comey, he may fare well. Oh, nice hook up top, left hook by Beltran, landed flush on the temple of Comey. Comey is coming forward and he is relentless, man. Like, damn, I have much more respect from him if he maintains this pace. Fighters in the clinch. No one's really working in the clinch, just holding, taking that breather. Man, both fighters landed the hook coming in. Comey just landed a double hook, has Beltran off balance again. He's going at Beltran. He's trying to stop him. Comey is landing. He is surgical right now. Nice left hook again. Again, 2-punch combination landed. Beltran is up against the ropes. I like how Comey is consistent, punctual with the jab. He's not abandoning it. He's staying true to what's working for him. Beltran is rhythm is disrupted from what I'm seeing for the first time. I know he got knocked down the first, but I'm saying right now he had pretty fluent success in the 2nd and 3rd round. Now in the 4th, he's just there posturing. You know, he's keeping his distance. That can be many signs he was hurt or whatever the case may be. But yeah. But I might let y'all get back to the fight. I'm not gonna commentate the entire fight. I know y'all want to watch it or whatever. But yeah, that's just my analytics of UFC 239 and you know the Charlo Adams fight. And I must say, Lubin and Attou. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing Lubin getting back on track. He has won, you know, he was the first one to stop Ishe Smith. So Lubin, there with Kevin Cunningham, I expect him to look much improved. You know, he is on the undercard of Jamal Charlo, you know, not Jamel Charlo. So that in itself, being that the brother's going to be around, he might have a little bit more to prove. And he want to go in there and perform well. So his opponent, Attou, he's gonna be in for a good fight, man. I don't see this guy being highly ranked. They have him 12th, I believe, ranked 12th. How in the hell he ranked? How can this be a title eliminator? when the guy's ranked 12th? How can Erickson Lubin be fighting um Zakaria Attou, I believe that's his name, and he's number 12? How can this be a title eliminator? You know, this is boxing finagling their way, just like they did Errol Spence and Carlos Ocampo. They said Carlos Ocampo was a mandatory, and the man came out of nowhere. Richard Comey, man, he may stop. It's the 5th round. He has Beltran back up against the ropes and idle. You know, Beltran is not punching. That means Richard Comey's offense is having an effect on Beltran. I like the timing. I like how he keeps Beltran honest. Every time he tried to close distance, he lands that left. Nice. He did it again. Nice. JC said, which fight are you looking forward to the most next week? Which one you talking about? Like which fight? Be specific, because I'm like watching a fight. Beltran just stumbled again. Richard Comey closed in. There you go. Focus, stand up. Beltran comes back, land his own punches. Richard Comey has him up against the ropes, hurt. Beltran comes off the ropes, though. Land a nice straight left. Now he has Richard Comey hurt. Beltran, when he gets hurt, yeah, just like they just said, when Beltran gets hurt, that's when the best comes out of him, man. And Richard Comey better be very careful not to blow everything. To be honest, man, it's not even Jon Jones and Thiago Santos. The one fight I'm looking forward to, JJC, is Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. And then second, Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even, I know I said Diego Sanchez, you know, that's my boy, much respect. But when it comes down to the quality fights that I'm looking forward to, that has meaning to me, substance, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holmes, you know, Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I just look at that moving Jorge Masvidal closer to a title shot in the welterweight division. I really don't want to see Ben Askren go in for a title shot against a wrestler, because all of the top contenders in the welterweight are somewhat base wrestlers. You know, you have Tyron Woodley's, Kobe Covington's, Kamaru Usman. All those guys are freaking wrestling based athletes. So if I had to check the box, I would say, you know, Kamaru Usman or Kobe Covington can negate Ben Askren's wrestling. Jorge Masvidal, out of all of them, to me, is a much more well-rounded striker. Yeah, I did. I said Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. That's what I said. I said, I'm not really looking forward to Jon Jones, Thiago Santos. You know what I'm saying? I said number one is Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren, and the second one is Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes. Yeah, Masvidal. Um, when I say wrestling background, I'm talking about on the level and tier of the Kobe Covington, Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley. Even though Tyron Woodley, you know, he wasn't at the top at the highest tier, but he's improved over time, especially from being over there when he fought Nate Marquardt. Like he was training himself. I think that was Strike Force he was in. Nice 2-punch combination by Richard Comey. But yeah, Erickson Lubin, I believe he can go in there and defeat Attou. Zakaria Attou. That's his name. Yeah. Jorge Masvidal, definitely. I'm going for man Jorge Masvidal. Go in there and close out goddamn Ben Askren. Put a stop to the hype train, man. Put that shit in the station. Send that motherfucker to the station where all the trains go that's no longer in freaking operation. Goddamn Beltran's still here. What a tough dude, man. 6th round. Tough dude. Comey showing pretty good resilience so far. Not to totally gas out and dump his tank, trying to knock Beltran out. If you don't know by now, Beltran is a tough customer. If he worked behind the jab and continue to land consistently, he'll hurt Beltran enough to stop him. It's only the 6th round. Nice. Nice exchange between both. Nice fight, man. JJG said, you think Holm has a good chance of beating Nunez. I hope it's competitive. I just think Nunez is too well rounded. You made a good point about Nunez being well rounded. Like I said earlier, I concur that Amanda Nunes is more well rounded than Holly Holmes. But Holly Holmes, being an 18-time boxing world champion, you know, I have to give her the credit to use that boxing, her striking against Amanda Nunes. Now, of course, Amanda Nunes, in my opinion, just won't be able to just close up and zip tie Holly Holmes in the clinch and take her down that easily. If she does, I will be highly impressed with Amanda Nunes. I'll be highly impressed, but I still favor Holly Holmes' hands to be more superior, just a little bit, in certain areas to that of Amanda Nunes. Regardless of what she did to Cyborg, I just believe that Holly Holmes, looking at her striking, even though she went the distance with Cyborg, I just believe it was more so a mental than her just wanting to let her hands go and take risk. She's gonna have to take risk against Amanda Nunes. Stand on the outside as if she has on freaking 8-ounce gloves, 10-ounce, 12-ounce, whatever. She's gonna have to do much better than that against Amanda Nunes, period. Because Amanda Nunes is not gonna respect her in the fight if she don't. She's gonna light her ass up. Like how Comey is switching it up, going to the body and up top, back down to the body. Comey's right eye is swelling up a bit. This fight has all the ingredients for upset, for real. If Beltran keeps hanging around and Comey's eyes swelling up the way it is, I'm not sure, because I'm looking at Beltran and he's good. His eyes are fine. And he's been hit with most of the power punches. But Richard Comey, the vibe, what I'm seeing precipitate out in there, this fight has the I'm just trying to get a take on how Comey's cardio is looking. It looked like he's still good, man. Still working behind the jab, tripling up, landing that nice power shot just then. But the more and more I see him with his back up against the ropes, Comey's got to switch it up now that Beltran is being a little bit more cautious by stepping in and running into that left hand. They're fighting on the inside right now. And you know what? I'm not sure if Comey hand might be re-injured or whatever. He's still throwing pretty good. But Beltran is having success, man. Tough fighter. He's having success against Richard Comey. Going into the 7th round. Andre Rozier's talking to Richard Comey. Of course, we can't hear it back here. we can't get we don't have a mic in the corner, but goddamn, Richard Comey's right eye is indeed looking different. They putting the end swell on it. Oh. But people, y'all hold it down. Y'all be sure to follow on all social media. Thank you all for tuning in and continue to support World Combat Sports. It is late. It's about to be Saturday. I appreciate the input, the feedback as always from you MMA heads tonight and boxing junkies. You know what I'm saying? It's been a pleasure. Shout out to you all. Continue to support and subscribe to the YouTube channel or hit the bell icon. And be sure to turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Salute.